Welcome to Hollywood Unapologetic. My name is Orlando Delbert, and this is Rocky. I wanted to speak a little bit about having a script, a vision, a plan, a mission, and the fifth stage in the filmmaking process, distribution. I first wrote about this subject and how it applies as part of the new Hollywood generation several years ago when I was writing Pollyanna's Tear-Soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical. The fifth and final stage in the filmmaking process is the distribution stage. It doesn't matter the amount of time and effort that has gone into creating your film if no one ever sees it. Having it as a vanity piece will not further your career, your craft, or the careers of anyone else who bled and sweat alongside you on this adventure. Up until now, most of the steps needed to create a motion picture are the same steps to create content for television, industrials, the straight-to-video marketplace, and internet-based content. The steps are generally the same even if less people and money are involved, but distribution is not. When your project was in the development stage, you should have considered what would be the best distribution outlet for your project. Will your film be released theatrically to cinemas? Will your film be released directly to consumer media such as DVD or Blu-ray? Will the film be released as digital downloads or streaming media available to the public from a media provider or through your website? If your film is being distributed by a film distributor, there usually will be a red carpet premiere and a launch party to maximize the public relations buzz. Press releases, press review screenings, and interviews are all designed to help with the best impact. Press kits are created as part of the promotional packaging as part of promotion. Dedicated website is also launched different than that of the production company, which can have additional scenes, backstory details about the characters, photos, and other goodies designed to get the public interested in wanting to see the film over and over again. I should add, for most filmmakers, their films are often developed and produced away from the studios that distribute them in the end. These independently produced films are usually financed by the pre-sale of distribution rights and may also have private investors. The film enters the acquisition agreement phase. At this point, the producer and film distributor agree on the details of the distribution rights. This is called a negative pickup deal. In most cases, the studio that is distributing your film will pay for your marketing and advertising costs in a negative pickup deal. The studio and producer will share the profits. There can be a 50-50 split between the studio and producer without a distribution fee for the studio. Also, as part of the negative pickup deal, the distributor in many cases will offer to give the producer an advance. This is based on what is estimated the profits may be. Producers will want to get as large of an advance as they possibly can acquire, knowing they may never see any payment on the back end. That's based on the film doing poorly and there are no profits to share. But on the other hand, the distributor will want to pay as little as possible as an advance of a share of the projected profits. I've seen many first-time filmmakers brag about how inexpensive it costs for them to produce the film before the distribution deal is secure. This is a huge mistake. It's common for the distributor to not want to offer you more than the cost of production. One thing to always keep in your mind, the distributor has no right to look at your books, so keep your mouth shut. The tricky thing that may happen at this point is the distributor may offer a preemptive offer, and it's good for a dedicated amount of time. For example, you were offered $250,000 as an advance, but you must decide on whether to accept it within 24 hours. This is tricky because you may feel compelled to hold out for a better offer, but on the other hand, a better offer may never come along and your offer is gone. This is why it is important to plan the release to potential film distributors to maximize your possibilities. I've seen many filmmakers get burned at this stage. Some distributors have been known to be creative with their accounting. I can't stress enough how important it is to go through the terms and fully understand them. Too often, profit participants don't see any return. The terms of net profits may be defined in such a way that it is not in the best interest of the producer. Another mistake I've seen first-time filmmakers do is show the film when it's not completed. I cannot stress enough how easily opportunity will walk away. Regardless of how many times the distributor may say they are professionals, blah, 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 the film isn't ready. It's simply not ready. Your first impression is your only impression. The best thing to do is set up a screening and invite as many of the executives you possibly can. You want all of your potential distributors to see your film at the same time. This will help getting them to compete with one another. Even if some of the distributors want an early look, don't give in. Do not send out a DVD or have them view a digital copy online. You could promise to let them see it once the film is completed. If they're viewing it at their office, They most likely won't get through it due to interruptions. You want them in a live theater surrounded by live people. Fill up the place with your friends. You could rent theaters all over Los Angeles or some of the studios like Paramount Pictures or MGM. One thing that happens during the negotiations is that the distributor may want to cross-collateralize the foreign distribution rights. What that means is the monies earned from the various markets the rights have been sold to are combined together. For example, your film does well in one country and earns $1 million and loses $1 million in another country. When cross-collateralized, the percentage of your net revenue will be zero. This is because they are combined together. But if they were not cross-collateralized, you would get your percentage of the profits from the first territory, while the distributor absorbs the loss from the second. Many first-time filmmakers don't take the time to fully research what all of this means for them. You should learn as much as you can before you begin reaching out to distributors about them. There are many unscrupulous distributors out there as well. You can do searches online and check the Superior Court dockets in Los Angeles for past lawsuits against them. You also want to check the distributor's financial health and reputation. Take the time to see if they are distributing other films similar to yours to avoid a possible conflict of interest. By this point, you should have an experienced entertainment attorney representing your deal. Let me give you the 10 things you and the attorney should be mindful of. The amount of the advance, the extent of the rights, foreign and or domestic, which markets, if any, are cross-collateralized, and are there any ancillary rights? Are there distribution or overhead fees? What is the accounting schedule? Will it be monthly or quarterly? What is the track record of the distributor? Does the distributor have any leverage with the exhibitors when monies are owed? How and when is payment done? What is the marketing commitment and is it guaranteed? How much input does the producer have over theater selection and artwork and for which markets? How much input does the filmmaker have in the promotion process? In the event that the distributor decides to back out early on the film's distribution, does the producer have the right to regain distribution rights? These are all deal points that need to be clear before signing off. An experienced attorney's job will be to be your advocate. You want someone who is able to negotiate, or better said, improve a distributor's offer. First thing to do during the distribution stage is to consider your distribution outlets. If you haven't made a game plan by now for distribution, now is the time. For a filmmaker in the early part of his or her career, there are options in the independent filmmaking community. Being outside of the traditional forms of film distribution through the studios, financing, distribution, and marketing are harder to accomplish. Most independent filmmakers attempt to have their films seen at film festivals. One thing you should know, some film festivals have an unspoken criteria where they have a preference for student projects. I've seen productions I've worked on go nowhere because once the films were submitted and the fees were paid, they weren't selected. On more than one occasion, the film's director was told by someone inside that particular film festival of the preferences of their choices. I don't want to give the impression this is every film festival. It certainly is not, but I have seen it plenty of times. Bless you, Internet. The Internet, without a doubt, has helped make our world smaller. Now there are Internet film distribution companies that offer an online distribution service geared towards the independent filmmaker. Some of those have helped get films sold via mainstream marketplaces and reach a global audience. Plus, sites like YouTube have programs that could allow content creators to monetize their products. Remember, do your research. Some of these sites offer somewhat inexpensive services to help your film be seen. Others offer very little financial return. You will need to decide on whether making money on this project is your first priority, or is having a strong calling card to showcase your work is, so you have a better financial and distribution options for the next project. Sometimes you can't have both, unfortunately. There are tons of examples in the reality show world of lowbrow programming giving up as sacrificial lambs by these content creators. This is all part of a plan to gain accessibility to better resources for the next project. Remember, once your first project is out there for the world to see, it's easier for doors to open for the next one. Make sure you weigh out all your pros and cons as you're making your list. I didn't want to get too detailed about online distribution now because emerging trends make it difficult to be specific on some technological trends because the technology grows at such a fast rate and is only increasing. A product or service may be obsolete 6 months from now and the replacement may not be available to the mainstream just yet. The American film market. Also, when making your list, make sure to include the American film market. The American film market is an 8-day networking event whose main purpose is to gather distributors and content creators from over 70 countries that are looking to acquire, finance, and sell projects for distribution. Don't think of this as a film festival. This is one of the premier global marketplaces in the film business. The American film market attracts distributors, development executives, financiers, attorneys, film commissioners, film festival directors, agents, writers, and film producers and directors. The American film market uses all 15 movie theaters on the Durst Street Promenade in Santa Monica, which can have over 700 screenings. There are other film markets in the world, but this one is local and is a big deal. Plus, they have a lot of resources available to help you streamline who you want to see while you are there. They may be moving locations elsewhere in Los Angeles, but plan on being in Santa Monica at least until 2017. The event runs annually in November. Although marketing technically doesn't fall under distribution, it is important to have your branding together when you begin to reach out to others. Your one sheet should look like other promotional items, including your website for the project. There should be continuity throughout. See what worked for others in your specific genre. This may seem like a no-brainer, but it's not obvious to everyone. Look at what other filmmakers have done regarding marketing and branding their past projects and see what works for your project. Even if something is out of your promotional and advertising budget, see how the individual pieces work with one another. There will always be something you can take from another project's successful campaign that works that you may be able to use as inspiration. Look for continuity. A huge mistake some young filmmakers make is that they don't have consistency between promotional items. Good branding is what people will remember. And don't be afraid to think out of the box. You don't always need a lot of money to get attention. A good example is Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez's The Blair Witch Project, released in 1999. The film's story was about 3 student filmmakers who disappeared in the Black Hills near Burkittsville, Maryland in 1994. Ooh, that was hard to pronounce. They were filming a documentary about a local legend known as the Blair Witch. A year later, the film and sound equipment was discovered. The Blair Witch Project is the actual film that was discovered. All of the marketing pushed for the film's discovery, which worked well for a horror film, and worked well it did. The film grossed over $248 million worldwide, making it one of the most successful independent films of all time. This led to The Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, the following year, as well as building a franchise with novels, comic books, and video games. By the way, the 3 student filmmakers that disappeared actually never disappeared. Television distribution is a whole different animal. Yes, the American film market is also a good place to pitch your television series idea, but you should know a little bit about mainstream television content development beforehand. There is a misconception that mainstream television is dying, and that misconception is driven in part by the high number of low-budget reality programming running on the airways now. Some can argue that competing technology is growing too quickly for Hollywood to keep up, and the studios and networks are falling behind. This can be talked about all day and night, but the reality is that everything in Hollywood is about making money, big money. And Hollywood has and will always invest in lobbying, regulation, litigation, and enforcement of the law to protect their properties. One of the key factors most people don't know about is there is a lot of business decisions in television that are based around affiliate fees. $32 billion a year in fees. Over the last 30 years, affiliate fees have become the lifeblood and the primary revenue stream of how the content for television is produced, financed, and packaged. You pay a fee to your cable or satellite provider, and a share of your subscription fee is shared back to the content owner and distributor. This is usually on a subscriber-by-subscriber basis. But what is interesting is to see how this really works. Cable providers began offering their programming for free as long as you can prove you are a cable subscriber. This allowed viewers to watch their content for free at mobile devices, usually 24 hours after they originally aired. As a content producer, this is good to know, especially when shopping for online distribution outlets. I've seen deals offered by some that offered a very little return for content producers. Those same online distributors just can't compete with television affiliate fees. To put this in perspective, Google's annual global revenue on its advertising network is about 33% less per year than television affiliate fees. One of the things mentioned throughout this series is Hollywood is about making money. What we covered here gives you an insider's view of the whys few outside the industry know about. Even many content creators in Hollywood trenches are not fully aware of much of what we touched upon. Without a doubt, there is a lot of information we have just gone over, and when looking at it at one shot, it can be overwhelming. Please don't let that discourage you. Use this information as a guide, make your plan, and to build your timeline to see your project come into fruition. Use this information as a tool so that you can better serve and help protect your project's integrity, your crew, and yourself better. And don't forget to have fun with it. Making a film takes a lot of effort to see all the way through, but definitely can be worth it. Your experiences stay with you for the rest of your life. The lessons learned as a content creator can also help build leadership qualities and an entrepreneurial approach to life. Make your plan, take a breath, go for it. You can do it once you believe you can. As part of the new Hollywood generation, your careers in content creation and filmmaking begins once you decide you're going to create a project. And watching this video was a major step to get you ready. Ready for the challenge? The world is greatly influenced by what is seen on the screen and heard on the radio. Let's be the new Hollywood generation. Let's give them something that will drive everyone to do something bigger and to make a positive difference in the world. And something I'd like to leave you with. We are all in it together. Each and every one of you is an important part of our future. You are important to the lives of those who surround you. You're important to your communities. You're important to our industry. No matter what, remain optimistic and focused on your goal and never stop believing in yourself. Always remember, you are the key to your own success. Take a breath, move forward. Together, let's create a revival, a resurgence of Hollywood, and bring back the auteur to cinema. Be an active part of the new Hollywood generation. You are a representative of the new Hollywood generation. You are a representative of the new Hollywood generation. Join Hollywood Unapologetic in our quest to positively empower one another, to empower our industry as we speak openly to industry professionals about the true pursuit of our Hollywood dreams and in life. Hollywood Unapologetic is a continuation of the Pollyanna's tear-soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical series of books designed to help you better prepare for success. It is now our time to strive to be a better version of ourselves and to be inclusive of one another. We, as a community, can grow together and be the change our industry needs. We can find unity together and be the change our future needs. We are the new Hollywood generation. Welcome to Hollywood Unapologetic.